Okay, so this is the summer 2014 IGCSE paper 21. I'm just going to go through it with you. So, first question is really simple. You simply type it into your calculator. Top tip is that 2 to the power of minus 1 is a half. Simply type in 3 over 4 square rooted into your calculator and then plus a half. That brings you to 1.37, and that is to 2 decimal places. So you just round that up. Okay, next question. I've already done a bit of notes on this. So find the value of y when x equals 6. So all you have to do is substitute x equals 6 into this. So you know that y equals 2 over 6 to the power of 2 plus 6 to the power of 2 over 2. So times this out, 6 times 6, 36. 2 over 36 plus 36 over 2. We'll continue that over here. So that if you simplify that fraction is 1 over 18. And then you plus, and this turns into 18 over 1, which is just 18. Now the questions ask you for the answer to be in mixed number form. So that is just simply 18 and 1/18. Question number 3, solve the equation. So what I've done here already is I've moved the 2 over to the other side. So it's dividing on this side, so then it becomes a times 2 on this side, which turns to 22. So n minus 8 equals 22. Then we get n equals 22 plus 8, which equals 30. So n equals 30. All right, question number 4. Write each number from this equation in one significant figure. So 4.8, one significant figure, round that up to 5. Here, round that up to 2. 16.8, that rounds up to 20, one significant figure. Use the answer to part A to estimate the value of p. Well, if p equals this, then p must equal 5 times 20, which is 10, over 20, which equals a half. Therefore, the answer is a half. Question number 5, again, a simple calculated question. What I would do is basically use your calculator to find out the value of all of these first, and then you simply just look for the one that is the smallest, because they want smallest first. So we see this is the smallest, so put 0.5 to the power 3. Second smallest is this one, so 0.5 to the power of 2. Third smallest is just 0.5. And the biggest is 0.79. Let's just say that. No, in fact, we're not going to write that. That's not the right. We're going to put it in its form, which is 0.5 to the power, to the cube root. There we go. And that's number 5. Number 6, a bit of a wordy question. So 800 euros into dollars. The exchange rate was €1 to 1.5. So what I did here, first sentence in maths, is 800 times 1.5. This gives us the amount of dollars that Carlo got to begin with. His holiday was cancelled, so he changed his dollars back into euros. He received 750. So we're going to divide his dollars by 750, which is what he got back, to find the exchange rate, which means that €1 equals $1.60. So $1.60. Question number 7. Make x the subject of the formula. So we want to get x on one side. So to begin with, I've already taken 6 from both sides, so that becomes y minus 6, and that goes away. So to continue this on, we're going to do the opposite of squaring, which is cube rooting, bearing in mind that a cube root could be plus or minus. That's something to remember. So that becomes y minus 6 equals x minus 4. And then what we're going to do, final step, is move this 4 over to the other side of the equation. It becomes positive. So it's a positive 4 plus or minus the square root of y minus 6 equals x. So we'll just write that again here. 4 plus or minus square root y minus 6. Question number 8. Write as a single fraction in its simplest form. So here, fractions, if we're plussing or minusing fractions, we need them both to have the same common denominator. So here what I've done is I've just said, okay, well, we need to times these both together so that they're both the same. So I times this x by x plus 1 and x plus 1 by x to make them the same denominator. Now we can minus them. So let's just expand this bracket. So that becomes 2x plus 2 over x plus 1 minus 2x over x plus 1. To simplify that again, we see we've got two x's, so they cancel each other out. So it becomes 2 over x plus 1, and that is your simplest form. You can't cancel anything else out. So the answer is 2x plus 1. Okay, question number 9. This looks like it could be complicated, but it is a very simple question. So, a bus company in Dubai has followed the operating times. So, here we need to find out all the timings that they're working. So, on day Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, they have the same hours. This is 18 hours. I found this out by minusing 24, which is their finishing time, or midnight, minus 6, which is 18. So I've written down 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18. You can see Friday, they have different times. So again, I've just done 24 minus 13, which brings us to 11 hours. So that means there are 6 days a week they're working 18 hours, and one day they're working 11. So what we do is we just do 18 times 6 plus 11, which adds up to 119. So that is your answer. That's 119 hours, and you can just simply do that on your calculator. Write the start time on Friday in 12-hour clock. So at the moment it's in 24 hours. You can see it's 13 o'clock, which is 1 p.m. in 12-hour clocks. Okay, question number 10. Factorize completely. So with factorization, we just need to make sure that we're looking for common factors. So here I've picked out 2 common factors from the first 2 terms. So we have first common factor here is a, x plus y. And the second common factor I've picked out here is b. Now the next stage to this is simply just a factorize rule, as we know that these 2 are going to be plus together. So we take out the common factors and we just times them by the terms. And that is simply the answer. A plus b, x plus y. That is factorized. Same again here, common factors. You can see in this, they both have x minus 1. So that's going to be our common factor, x minus 1. So we take x minus 1 out of both. I've used a square bracket here just because it's a little bit easier to kind of separate these things. So square brackets, 3 x minus 1 plus x minus 1. The next thing is we're going to just expand this. So that becomes x minus 1. And then this bracket will become 3x minus 3 plus x minus 1. That then becomes x minus 1. And then we simplify this as, so 3x plus x. Hold on a second, if I just got this wrong. Oh, sorry, yeah. So we shouldn't have this. I've just basically should have just put a 1 there. That's my fault. So let's just delete this. because we're timesing everything by x minus 1 times by 1 will be x minus 1. So here we simply just have the 1. And then that makes the original equation, as we times this by this and this by this, makes the original equation, if you can see that. So then we're going to expand this. So that still becomes 3x minus 3 plus 1. And then again, we take this one step further. This last bracket simplifies to 3x minus 2. And that is your answer. X minus 1, 3x minus 2. Okay, question number 11 is the cosine rule. Now, hopefully you'll have memorized this, but I've written it down here just in case you don't know it quite yet. But it is a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a. So what I've done here is I've just rearranged this to make it a little bit simpler for us. So I've moved this over to that side, and I moved the a squared onto the other side, just to make it a little bit more simpler. And then finally, I took the 2bc and put it underneath here. So this is still the cosine rule. It's just in a slightly different format, as I've just changed it around. Now, question 11, a triangle has sides of length 2, 8, and 9. So I've drawn this triangle. The largest angle is going to be this one here, opposite the longest length. So using this diagram, we can now substitute in to the cosine rule. So the angle is A, we're looking for, equals B and C, doesn't matter too much. Let's just put B as 2 and C is 8 squared, minus A. A is the opposite of the angle A, so that must be minus 9 squared, over 2 times 2 times 8. When you simplify this down, cos A then equals 68 minus 81 over 32, which equals not a great number, minus 0.40625. Find that out using your calculator. To find out A, we do the opposite of cos, which is cos to the minus 1, and then minus 0.4062, and so on, whatever that number is. Put that into your calculator, and you get the answer is 113.969. It's a long number, which rounds up to 114.0 degrees. Question number 12 is an indices question. So for these, just remember that when we're talking about indices, if we're timesing them, we add the indices together. If we divide them, we're minusing them together. So P times Q, I've already substituted that in. So this is what P is, and this is what Q is as an equation. So all we're going to do is we're going to do 4 times 5, which is 20, times, and then we've got 10 to the power of 5, 10 to the power of 4. We're going to add the indices together. So that is 10 to the power of 9. Now, this isn't in the simplest form because this is a 20. Therefore, we can divide this by 10 and add another little 10 onto the 10, if that makes sense. So it will become 2 times 10 to the power of 10. Okay. Same again, substituted them in. This is Q, this is P. So we've got the same thing. Just remember a divide is a minus. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 5 divided by 4, which gives us, we'll just put it in as, for now, 1.25. And then we've got 4 and 5. 4 minus 5 is minus 1. So this is times 10 to the minus 1. All right, so the answer is 1.25 times 10 to the minus 1. Question 13 is all about circle theorem. So there are lots of rules to do a circle theorem, which again, you just simply have to know, really. So definitely worth something looking up if you don't know already. So let's just break it down quickly. Here is the question. You've got C, D, A, and B all around a circle. O is the center. So from this, we can tell that CO and OA are the radius, so they're the same length. That automatically makes this triangle an equilateral triangle, so that this angle is the same as this angle. So that really helps us out. So let's just make sure we just know that. So, okay, A is calculate angle OCA. So that is one of these here. So one of the rules in circle theorem is that the opposite angle in one of these sort of arrows is double the outer angle. So the outer angle is 58, which means that this angle is double 58, which is 116. Now, to find out this angle here, which is what the question is asking us, we know that we can do this by, as all angles in a triangle add up to 180, we can basically find it out by doing 180 minus 116 equals 2x, because there's two x's. So that then comes to 64. Then we're going to divide that by 2 equals x. Therefore, x equals 32, which is 64 divided by 2. So there we go. Angle OCA, x, OCA is 32 degrees. The next angle they want us to find is DCA. DCA. So it's this one here. We'll call this y. So again, another circle theorem rule is that if there's a quadrilateral in a circle, the opposites add to 180. So to find this angle, we can do 180 minus 58, so minus the opposite is 122. This angle is 122. Then same again, 180 minus 122 minus 23 equals y. And pop that all into your calculator, we find that y equals 35. So we put 35 degrees. Again, that's all about learning the rules. That's nothing else, and just thinking about how we can put the rules into play. Next, number 14, this is a perpendicular bisector. That means that it goes through the center. This line is the perpendicular bisector of AB. It goes through the center, therefore, of AB. So find the equation of the perpendicular bisector. Well, we know that the equation for a line is y equals mc squared. Y equals mx plus c. So we also know the question's given us the gradient of the perpendicular bisector. So we can pop the gradient in here, as m is the gradient. So we popped that in already. The next thing to do is we need to find out what c is. And to do so, we need a coordinate. Now we know that it goes through the center of AB. Therefore, we're going to find the center point. That is going to be between 5 and between 13 and between 10 and between minus 2. So simply to do that, to find the x, we will find the x coordinate by doing 5 plus 13 over 2, which equals 9. So that's an x coordinate. And to find our y coordinate, we do the same. We'll do 10 plus minus 2, which is 10 minus 2 over 2, which equals 2, 4. All right, so that's our y. So then we simply substitute these two into this equation to find c. So y, 4, equals 2 over 3 times 9 plus c. Simply just pop this all into your calculator. 4 equals 6 plus c. Move that over. We find that c equals minus 2. Therefore, we know we can just pop that back into here. Our answer is y equals 2 over 3 x minus 2. Make sure you do all the working for that. That's worth 4 marks. They always like to see your working for 4 marks. Another 4-mark question here. Inequalities. Okay, so just kind of same thing as a equal sign here. Same rules apply. So I've just moved a few things over. So this first stage, I've moved the 5 from under here to over this side. So it's timesing everything by 5. It's become 5x plus 5. I have then moved on this. What I have done is I've moved over, this should be an x, sorry. I've moved the x over and I've moved the 5 over. So they're here now. If we continue this on, then we get to 21 minus 5, which is 16. And this becomes 4x, and then 16 divided by 4. There we go. So that is 4. So 4 is smaller than, x is smaller than 4. So we can write that. Now the answer will be any positive numbers below 4. So that's 1, 2, and 3. You could also put 0. They wouldn't mark it wrong, but they're the 3 numbers that x could be. All right, 16. So indices again. When we have a bracket, we times them. So that becomes 2 to the power of 12, as 24 times a half is 12, equals p to the 4. Now, what we can do here is just times this out on the calculator. So just plug that into your calculator, and you get 4096 equals p to the power of 4. Now, there's no really, you could just do a simple trial and error for this. So you just try a few numbers in p's position, for example, 6 to the power of 4, and basically just try and find out which number to the power of 4 will work best. In this case, it's 8. Alternatively, on your calculator, I believe you can do square root to the 4. So if you simply put this in, it should hopefully come out as the answer of 8. So 8. Okay, again, indices. Remember, when we divide, it's actually the minusing of the indices here. So for this question, it's 2 minus a half in the indices, which is 1.5 or 3 over 2. So this simply just becomes, so I forgot to say, I simplified this earlier. So this becomes 2q squared, because we've got 2 of those. And this, we simply plus the quarters together. And so that becomes q to the half. Again, to simplify this, as I was just saying, we minus these. So it just becomes q to the power of 3 over 2. And that is the answer. 2q to the power of 3 over 2, or to the power of 1.5. Okay, question 7 is about holidays. So, travel brochure, 72 holidays in total. Oh, so we know that this whole circle, which is 360 degrees, is 72 holidays. So they want to know why the sector angle for Thailand is 120 degrees. It's got 24 holidays. So the easiest way to do this is find out what one holiday is, how many degrees one holiday is. To do this, it's 72. It's 360 divided by 72, which is the total number of holidays in the whole circle. Found that one holiday is 5 degrees. Therefore, we do 24 times 5, and that equals 120. And that is why that is the angle sector for Thailand. Okay, the angle for Malaysia is 150, as they've set up here. The sector angle for Singapore is twice the sector angle for Hong Kong. So let's put Hong Kong as x and Singapore as 2x. Then we're just going to make a simple equation to find out, firstly, what the angle of Hong Kong is, and then we'll find out the number of holidays. So 360 equals all of these things added up, 120, 150, and the x's. Moving those over, just to make it a little bit more simple, there we go. That becomes 90 equals 3x. So x, as you can see, equals 30 as we take that 3 underneath and divide. But that's not what we're looking for. That is in degrees. We're looking for it in the number of holidays. So all we do there is we know that 1 degree is 5 holidays. So we're just going to simply do 30 divided by 5. And that equals 6 holidays. And that is the number of holidays in Hong Kong. 6. Okay, question number 18. This looks quite like a tricky one, but this is all about scale factor. So we're talking about volume of a cone. We've got this bit that's been removed off the top. They tell us it's 1/8 of the volume of the original cone. So we need to find the scale factor so that we can prove why the radius is 2 and the height is 5 of this small section cone. So scale factor. As its volume, we're going to cube root this, which is the volume. It's 1/8 of that. So we just take that, we cube root it, and we find the scale factor is 1/2. Now we know that the scale factor is 1/2. We just times the larger measurements by 1/2. And that will make us find out that the measurements for this smaller cone. So 4 times 1/2, which is the radius, is 2. Therefore, the radius is 2. And we also need to show that the height is 5. So again, we do the height times the scale factor of 1/2 equals 5. So height equals 5 centimeters. Okay, so they've been nice for this next section. They've given you the formula for volume. So we're basically going to use this. So what we're going to do is they want us to find the remaining solid. So we're going to find the total cone volume, then the small volume, and then we're going to take the small volume from the total volume. And that will give us the remaining volume. So what I've done here is I've just substituted in all of the numbers from the picture above into this formula. That's given me the total volume is 160 pi over 3, and the small volume is 20 pi over 3. So now all we're going to do is do 160 pi over 3 minus 20 pi over 3 equals remaining volume. And if you just simply type that into your calculator, then it's a lot simpler because we don't need to, do it so much. And then that becomes 140 pi over 3, which equals 146.6 centimeters cubed as the remaining volume. Question 19 is another big question. This is a SOHCAHTOA question. Again, you need to know that, and you also need to know how to use it. So this question here, we want to find this shaded sector. In order to do this, the best way is to find the total area of the rectangle, the area of this triangle here, and this sector area here. And then what to do to find the shaded region is we do the whole rectangle minus the triangle minus the sector. So to find the area of the rectangle, we know that it's this length is 8 centimeters, but we don't know this length, so we can't find it out yet. So in order to find length x, let's say that's one up here, we are going to use the SOHCAHTOA. So we know that the angle is 60, so we're going to use cos because we've got the adjacent and the height. That's what we're looking for. So we just stick that all into there. We find that x equals 8 cos 6, which equals 4. So that's the length of x. So the area of the rectangle is 8 times 4, which is 32 centimeters squared. Next is the triangle. Now for this, we can't use SOHCAHTOA, but we can use the triangle rule, which is another rule that you should have in your memory. Half AB sine C is the area of a triangle. So again, we're just going to chuck in the numbers from the top diagram. It's a half times 4 times 8 sine 60. That brings you to 8. And yeah, that's the answer to that. Third, the sector rule. So to find this area of a sector, this is the formula. Again, another one that you hopefully will know. So it is the sector angle over 360, that should say, pi r squared. So area equals 30, which is the angle, over 360, times pi, times the radius squared, which is 8 squared, as you can see from the diagram above. This comes to 16 pi over 3. So now, simply going to do 32 minus 8 square root 3 minus 16 pi over 3 is the shaded region. And simply just type all of that into your calculator, and it should come out as not a very nice number of 1.3884 blah blah blah. We're going to round that up and give the answer of 1.39 centimeters squared. And that is the area of the shaded region. Hopefully that all made sense. If not, please comment, and good luck.